All right, let's talk about a piece of technology you've probably never heard of, but that is quietly changing, well, just about everything, from healthcare to how we keep our food safe. We're diving into screen printed electrodes.
You know that feeling, right? The anxious waiting for a blood test or some other lab culture to come back. It feels like your life is just on pause. It's slow, it's nerve-wracking, and it just feels totally out of step with our on-demand world.
And here's the thing, the real problem is that traditional lab testing is stuck in the past. It's centralized, it's expensive, and man, is it slow. You need big buildings, fancy equipment, and highly trained staff. This creates a massive bottleneck, especially if you're in a remote area or you need an answer fast. What we really need is testing that happens right where we are, at the point of care.
Okay, but what if I told you the solution uses pretty much the same technology that prints a band logo on a t-shirt? I know it sounds way too simple to be true, but that's the genuinely revolutionary idea behind a whole new generation of sensors.
So, how in the world do you print a laboratory? Well, it all starts with a technology that's been around forever, but is now being used in this incredibly clever new way.
So, meet the hero of our story, the screen printed electrode, or SPE for short. At its core, it's just a tiny, flat electrochemical cell. But instead of being built with all this complex machinery, it's made by printing special conductive inks, layer by precise layer, onto a simple little plastic or ceramic chip.
And the way they make them is just beautifully simple. First, you design a stencil, kind of like for screen printing. Then you get your special inks ready, you squeegee them through the screen, and then you cure it all with a bit of heat. And that's it. This super straightforward four-step process is what makes SCPs so ridiculously easy to scale up and so affordable. And the result of that simplicity, it's a total game changer. These sensors are so cheap they can be disposable, which means no cross-contamination. They can be mass-produced by the millions. They only need a tiny little drop of a sample, and they're so simple that pretty much anyone can use them anywhere. Okay, so we've got this cheap, simple, and scalable sensor. Fantastic. But how do we make it smart? How does a basic little electrode get its superpowers? You see, a brand new SPE is basically a blank canvas. It can tell you that an electrical change happened, but it has no idea what caused it. To turn it into a high-precision diagnostic tool, we have to give it a very specific job, the ability to spot one single target, like a specific virus or a cancer biomarker, and completely ignore everything else around it. And scientists have a few really cool tricks to do this. They can mix special nanomaterials right into the ink before they even print. Or they can take a finished electrode and electrochemically grow nanoparticles right onto the surface. Or sometimes it's as simple as just dropping a tiny bit of a modifying solution right on top. Whichever method they choose, the end goal is the same, to create this supercharged high-activity surface on the electrode. This brand new surface is the perfect docking station, ready to anchor the real brains of the sensor. These are the biological molecules that are experts at finding and grabbing onto their specific targets. So once our electrode is modified and ready to go, it can be equipped for a specific mission. Let's take a look at the 4 main types of biosensors that you can build on top of this amazing little platform. These sensors fall into 4 major squads, and each one uses a different biological tool to hunt down its target. You've got DNA sensors, APTA sensors, immunosensors, and the classic enzymatic biosensors. First up, DNA sensors. Their mission is basically genetic reconnaissance. They use a very specific single strand of DNA as a kind of probe. And when its exact genetic match, say from a nasty bacteria or a gene mutation, is in the sample, it latches on. That connection creates an electrical signal we can measure. And this isn't just a lab curiosity. Here's a real-world example. Instead of having to wait days for a culture to grow, researchers have built an SPE-based DNA sensor that spots E. coli bacteria directly in a urine sample. You get a diagnosis in minutes, not days. Huge difference. Next up are APTA sensors. Now, think of these as molecular origami. They use these short, man-made strands of DNA or RNA called aptamers, and they are designed to physically fold and wrap themselves around a very specific target molecule. It's like a custom-made glove for a protein or a virus. And to see just how powerful this is, check this out. APTA sensors have been developed that can detect HER2, a really important biomarker for some types of breast cancer, directly in human blood serum.
This could open the door to faster, cheaper, and more accessible tools for early cancer screening.
Our third type, immunosensors, actually borrow a trick from our own bodies. They use antibodies, our body's natural defenders, to lock on to specific targets called antigens, which you'd find on the surface of a virus or bacteria. It is an incredibly specific and powerful bond, a true biological lock and key system. And this has massive implications for public health. For instance, these immunosensors are being used right now to detect salmonella bacteria in food, like raw chicken, giving us a super fast way to catch outbreaks before those products ever even make it to the grocery store.
And finally, we have the enzymatic biosensors. Now, these are the real workhorses of the biosensor world. They're the most common. They use a specific enzyme that acts as a catalyst. It finds a target molecule and sparks a chemical reaction. And it's the byproducts of that reaction that we measure as an electrical signal.
And this method is just incredibly versatile. For example, an enzymatic sensor can be used to measure glutamate levels to check the taste and quality of food products, but a very similar sensor can also be used in a hospital to monitor a patient's health. So we've got these tiny printable labs, each one kitted out for a highly specialized mission. When you take a step back and put it all together, the potential impact is just massive.
Look, this isn't just about one cool new gadget. This is a platform technology that can transform entire industries. We're talking about instant diagnostic tests in your local clinic, on-the-spot environmental checks for pollutants in our water, and ensuring our food is safe from the farm all the way to our table. SPEs are making cutting-edge science accessible and affordable for everyone, everywhere.
And it's not stopping there. Researchers are already developing sensors that can work directly on your skin. So think about this for a second. What if your next health screening was as simple as putting on a sticker? The same tech that prints a logo on a shirt could one day print a health monitor. That's not just innovation, that's a revolution.